Thank you, Jeff. I'm Matthew Bolton. I actually started. I'll take the tape. My company's Enhanced Systems Consulting. Started in 1991, so it's not a new company. Actually came back to Johnson City, Tennessee in '92, and primarily as software developers and integrators. And one of the things that we noticed, and I think it's very important, is that an idea that's not good today might be good 5 years from now, due to changes in technology, changes in methodologies, and changes in capabilities, and also changes in economics. The other thing that we recognized early on, and still today, is that we weren't good at everything and couldn't do everything, and for that reason, we started looking for what we call strategic entrepreneurial partnerships. And this has evolved over several years to the advent where we're now launching 5 new businesses that are involved in other partnerships with other companies, other institutions within the area and outside the area. I'm going to touch on one of those today because it perhaps is our largest, and it's also one that we've received a little bit of publicity about due to some government funding through the Department of Energy. And the button
on the right.
No, this one.
The other right.
This one. There you
go. Okay. Entrepreneurial partnerships. It's something that's not talked about a lot. We often think of the lone stranger or the lone entrepreneur going out there doing everything on their own, being creative, being a business person, being capable, sometimes even being financially capable. The reality of the world is that doesn't exist. We've already heard from Michael this morning that you need to look at your team. Look at the capabilities of the team. Look at the players on the team to develop an entrepreneurial team. That's what entrepreneurial partnership's all about. We were fortunate enough to get involved with something we knew nothing about, and resources we didn't know anything about. In 1994, working with ETSU and the Entrepreneurial Studies Program. As a result, in 2003, we started working with one of their clients, Bristol Tennessee Essential Services. Some of you may be familiar. That's the electric and triple play company in Bristol, Tennessee. Bristol had a unique need. They needed some software and control algorithms to manage hot water heaters, inline capacitors, and other devices to basically manage the electric grid. The software didn't exist. We searched high and low for it, so we decided to create it. Through a partnership with the 3 entities, one private business, for-profit, as I like to tell people, and 2 not-for-profit businesses, ETSU and BTES, we developed a partnership that had the electrical engineering side in BTES, the software engineering side in Enhanced Systems Consulting, and the consultative side in ETSU. Over the course of 4 years, we've engaged 4 different student teams. And I want to bring that out because they were very instrumental in our research, our development, and what we like to call our viral research, because you get a whole different answer when a student calls a business or calls an entity and says, I'm working on a student project, than you do if Matthew Bolton from Enhanced Systems Consulting calls you. We get a lot more input. But the goals of the partnership and the goals of the software are sustainable. As many of you know, in our electric grid today, or you've heard, and with 8 million people without electricity on the East Coast, it's even more evident, our electric grid is somewhat unstable in terms of delivery and capabilities. Indeed, the Boston Consulting Group's estimated that if 20% of the population had electric cars, and 20% of those plugged those in at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, our grid would come to a screeching halt and fail. So while we all think electric cars might be good, we can't have them yet. We don't have the capability to recharge them. Well, one of the tools that we've worked on is the ability to trickle charge those overnight without putting undue strain on the grid. In addition, we're doing the same exact thing with water heaters. We're taking an electric water heater and treating it as if it's a battery, storing the hot water heater overnight. As some of y'all may know, water heating is kind of an odd phenomenon. It's always heating when we don't need it, or after we've already used it, okay? Not heating right before. So we're looking at some techniques there. And then a little more technical capability in terms of inline capacitors that can actually manage the voltage on the delivery. Now, I'm not an electrical engineer, so we've counted on expertises from electrical engineering to teach us how to do that. However, I am a software engineer. So once we have communications in place and capabilities, we can do that. Scalable, it's got to be able to scale up to work with an 8 million customer basis, and we've designed some technologies and some techniques that at present we think we can take on 9 million connections with a single installation. So that's a pretty huge change. And secure. As the grid grows, and as you know, the security is a big issue. The architecture that we put in place is by its nature secure, and it's going to get even better. So when you're looking at your team, a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities. So a SWOT analysis of all the team members and what they bring to the team. Again, going back to what Michael said earlier this morning, it's about building an entrepreneurial team and bringing tools to the trade and solutions to the trade. Many of you have talked about project management. And oftentimes when we talk about a project, it's got a definite end. One of the things that we learned from other entrepreneurs as well as ourselves was that we have a program, not a project. Why do we have a program? Well, because it doesn't end. Okay? It continually gets improved. It's a continuous process, and it always changes. That includes both the product, the software that we're delivering, as well as the market space. We're building something for a smart grid management system that delivers electricity throughout the world, and all of a sudden we find perhaps one of our biggest customers is in private industry. Why? Well, we found a customer that contacted us that had 8,000 water heaters in all their facilities and said, we want to save electricity. We don't want to pay for it. So, what's the point there? Our initial market being utilities, primarily 9 current utilities and distributors in the TVA region, all of a sudden expanded to private business because of a phone call. The program will indeed change and be modified as it goes. So the team dynamics, the agile partnership. One of the things that we found is we partnered with ETSU locally. That helped us with local culture, local capabilities, local student teams. This past summer, we actually started a new partnership with an institution in Germany. And we did so because we didn't feel like our East Tennessee culture would necessarily work in Germany. So as you move into other areas, you need to look for other strategic partners that can represent you in those areas and be critical cogs in those areas. And that can be geographical or locational or just in business. So what's that mean? That means you define the partnership to be agile, changing, and perpetual. Okay? So the partners change. As a result, what we've done over the last really 5 years, and as a result of the economy, 2008 through 2010, business was slow. I oftentimes tell people we started new businesses because we didn't have anything else to do. And so we went on an endeavor. One, the Department of Energy project, we applied for our first ever government grant, received a $150,000 SBIR Phase 1 Small Business Innovation Research Grant to make us set up to stay. Okay. We applied for our second grant, which we were awarded this past August, SBIR Phase 2, which is a $1 million grant, phased out, they say over 2 years, we're pulling it into 12 months to actually commercialize the software. We also started a second business called All Clear Systems, which has nothing to do with Department of Energy. Okay? It's a banking product that is now installed in 20 banks nationwide and is growing. We started a third product in the telecommunications industry that manages all the elements. It's in partnership with a company in Alabama. And then we started a fourth product that is in utility billing, which I'm not sure how we got into that, but we've already sold it twice, so I guess we're there too. So, long story short, several of these endeavors came about 2008, 2010. The fact that they've all taken off, they've all spawned, and it's kind of interesting, new companies out of old companies. So all of these were done with existing companies. And we've developed these dynamic partnerships that spawned new companies. So yes, on the radar screen, they're going to be recognized as new companies because they've just been formed. But the reality of it was they wouldn't have been done if the existing companies weren't there and weren't capable of carrying them out. So with that, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you very much.
We got a